Jonathan, with everything that's happened, how are you dealing with the news as of the last couple of days, and how is the team kind of dealing with it from your perspective?
Same thing we deal with everything else, one day at a time. Obviously, there's a bit of changes taking place, but all we can do is focus on what's ahead of us, and that's this game against DC. With Bobby taking charge of the team for the time being, it's our job as players to get behind him and support him and listen to the ideas that he has and the points he wants to get across for this game. We don't control who comes in next or when that is, so as players, our sole focus is on this next game against DC United.
Are players being consulted by the front office at all regarding who comes in next to be the next permanent head coach?
That's not our job to do as players. Our job is to do what we can on the pitch, and that has to be our main focus right now. We don't pick the manager. It's not what we get paid to do. We get paid to go out and perform on the field, and we need to do that to the best of our ability.
What was your reaction when you heard that Christ and the team parted ways?
There's always a little bit of a surprise because you don't know when it's coming. We knew that results weren't good enough, and as players, we have to take some responsibility for that as well because we're the ones on the field, and we haven't, in my opinion, been performing to the best of our abilities at times, and that's disappointing. We know that we're a better team than what we've shown in these previous few games. We've been missing some players at times, and things haven't quite gone our way. We've had some good performances in there, but the results haven't been there. And ultimately, that's what we're out there to do, is to get results.
For you, what's been the biggest difference between, and I know you had to watch some of it because you were out, but between the 6-game winning streak and then the 6-game losing streak now?
The points. We still had some good performances in there in that losing streak. I know that's not much of a consolation. I understand that. But we still performed relatively well at times. We just weren't able to put in a complete performance. There were some individual errors, some mistakes as a team that we made, and if we're going to improve as a group, we need to cut those out. So for me, it was certain things didn't go our way. We had some injuries. But we still need to find a way to pick up points, particularly at home.
How do you think the team's psyche is right now in terms of confidence and, I guess, with this move happening, the sense of urgency now?
I'm not sure how much it's changed. I think what's good is that we have a group that's really together, and it's a strong group of players. It's a positive group of players. And I think from the outside looking in, that might get lost based on what's happening at the club at the moment. But I hope that as players we're able to show that on the field, that we are still very much together, and that the results will follow.
What's kind of been the message from the interim staff so far?
Bobby's done a really good job of trying to get some of his ideas across, some changes for the upcoming games. He's a positive guy, just as the previous staff was. But we know at the same time that it hasn't quite been good enough, and we need to correct some of the mistakes we've been making. So he's doing a good job. It's a difficult situation, but he's doing the best he can with it, as we are as players as well.
What's the biggest thing you?
I'm sorry?
Have you heard from Jason at all since Friday? Any kind of messages he kind of relayed to the team?
Yeah, I reached out to Jason afterwards just to thank him for everything he did at this club, and also to wish him well for whatever comes next for him. And he did the same, not just to myself, but to the team as a whole. I think as players, as staff, we all know that this club will be here long after our tenure's finished, and we want to have a positive impact and do the best that we can while we're here. And he tried that. He did that. So I think we're all grateful to him for what he did here and his commitment and dedication to the club. And I know he wishes the club nothing but the best.
As captain, do you feel that with everything having transpired? Do you need to step up more, and also have any of the younger players maybe have come to you in this situation?
Yeah, I reached out to a few of them. Unfortunately, I've been in this situation a number of times before. I remember when I was at West Ham, I had 5 managers in 5 seasons. So unfortunately, this is a common thing in soccer. It's not something that's unusual. But for some guys, it's the first time they're dealing with it. And it can be a little bit disconcerting, a little bit daunting. But at the same time, you know, we need to understand that this is part of the game, and our job is to be on the field and get results, and we have to find a way to do that no matter who's in charge.
Bobby has said,
how much pressure do you feel to win now? I mean, considering you were still in the playoffs, coach gets fired, I imagine that has to be there, the pressure to win now.
Pressure is there regardless, and the pressure comes from within, not from anyone from the outside. We want to be in the playoffs, we want to win games, so there's no more pressure than there was before.
Bobby had said that he had met with the team, but has the team come together and met just as a unit to discuss what's happened and what needs to happen moving forward?
Yeah, as players, we certainly have discussions and talk about what we need to do. Obviously, Bobby has his ideas, and we still need to have that that figurehead that leads the group, and Bobby's doing a good job of that. So we're grateful that we have him and people like Tim Mulqueen still here on board at the moment.
How was the message communicated? Did Bobby come to you guys about it? Was ownership and management, did they have a message about what was going on? And if so, what was it for you guys?
Which message, about Jason,
Yeah,
or about Bobby taking over?
Both, the situation.
In general? Yeah, the ownership group reached out to us to inform us before the decision, or just as the decision was going to be released, so we would know beforehand. And you know, we understand that the results haven't been good enough, so we get where they're coming from. And you know, afterwards we had a meeting with Bobby first thing when we were back in at training. He expressed what was going on to us in more detail, and expressed then how we're going to move forward. You know, this isn't something that we stop and dwell on. It's a big change, certainly, but at the same time, you know, life, soccer, it all moves forward. You know, we can't stop and worry about what happened in the past. Now we're still in the middle of a season with an Open Cup run going on, and also the chance to make the playoffs. So that's what's important to us right now.
Speaking of Open Cup, DC United tomorrow, team that you faced started the season. What are some of the problems that they present you? What do you guys need to do to move on to the next round after?
I think they're a little bit of a different team than what we faced early in the season. They've changed the way they play a little bit, so it's going to take a little bit more kind of in-depth research on them than just saying, oh, we played them before, we know what they're about. They've changed their style, and we're going to have to change a little bit the way we kind of compete against them in the first game. But I think we're up to the task, and looking forward to going there and hopefully getting a win.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.